Welcome. One of the things that people always say to me is, I can't bake. And I think, yes, you can. Or they'll say to me, I'm really rubbish at baking. And I think, no, you're not. All you need are some really simple steps to follow before you get into the kitchen so that you know what you're doing. And that is why I'm bringing you Barbara Bakes Back to Basics, a very simple guide that you can follow and you will be a good baker. So what I'd like you to do is to write down your recipes every week when we post a video, put them in a little book so you have a really nice collection of recipes that you can take with you anywhere and everywhere. So one of the recipes I'd like to bring you in the Back to Basics series is our caramel sauce. It can be salted caramel or just plain caramel, but it's a lovely sauce to have because it's quite light for all seasons. And if you want a sauce on your plate rather than a dollop of ice cream or cream, this is a perfect alternative for you to offer your guests. So we're going to start with 200 grams of caster sugar, about 100 mils of water, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the water when we start to make the sauce. We have 150 mils of whipping or double cream. I like to use whipping cream, but not all supermarkets sell whipping cream, so if you can get double cream, that's fine. 50 grams of delicious butter, wherever you get that from. And I have some sea salt flakes that I'm going to be using today, and I'll show you what I'm going to be using those for a little later. I'm using a heavy base saucepan, and I've put my sugar in the pan. I'm turning the heat on, so we want medium to high heat, and then I'm going to add my water. The water I'm adding is just to wet the sugar. If you add too much water, don't worry, because your caramel will still work. It will just take a little longer. A lot of people make the caramel sauce without water and just render the sugar down so it's nice and brown. But I find that if you put a little bit of water in, you have more control over when it starts to go brown, and you can just see it going brown gradually. When you just have the sugar, it kind of hits you, especially if you're a beginner. So I would advise you just put a little bit of water in, and it will take a little bit longer, but not too much longer, so don't worry. I've stirred initially just to move it from the bottom of the pan and to stop any clumps. But then I'm going to stop stirring just for a while and stir periodically. Let that boil up. It will take some time. Once it's boiled fully, give it a stir and leave it again to boil some more until it gradually starts to go brown. This has been boiling for 2 minutes now, and as you can see, it started to pick up a little bit of colour here and here. I'll just move my pan slightly so that it evens out. I haven't stirred it yet. I stirred it at the beginning and then I left it, and it's been 2 minutes. It started to colour. I'm going to just move that colour around really, really gently because we don't really want to disturb the sugar crystals too much. And you can see it's got a lovely colour that started. It's only been 3 minutes now. Again, I'm going to move the colour around just to make sure that it's even. It might not be in the middle of my gas ring, but I don't want to move it too much. There we go. Nice and gently. And then stop stirring. And give it a stir every 30 seconds or more. And we're looking for a really nice caramel colour before we move on to the next stage. Smells delicious, as you can imagine. Another little stir. In the middle it's quite white, and that's where I can see a build-up of sugar. So I'm kind of pushing that to the outside. And again, moving the darker area around because we don't want it to burn. If your gas or your heat is too high, turn it down 1 notch, again, to avoid any burning. Now, you might start getting worried at this stage that it's getting a little bit too brown for you to handle. Don't worry. It's been boiling for exactly 4 minutes now, and it's getting to a nice colour. I'm going to take it 1 step further before I pull it off, and then we're going to add our cream. Once you take your caramel off the heat, your sugar off the heat, it will still continue to cook. So if you can see this colour now, it's just going to, I would say medium to dark brown. This is when I'd pull it off, give it a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to pour my cream in. Right, look at that colour. Now this is a point where you need to be really careful adding your cream. It's still cooking, it's still getting brown, but you need to add your cream. This will cool it down a little bit. Make sure that there are no children around when you're doing this. And make sure you have quite a long wooden spoon. Stir it vigorously to incorporate the cream, and then straight away you can add your butter. It's off the heat now, there is no heat. Once you pull it off to mix your cream in, it comes off the heat and it stays off the heat. You won't need to put it back on the heat. Look at that colour, gorgeous. No darker than that. If it's darker than that, it'll start to taste bitter. And there we have our scratch made, as the Americans would say, caramel sauce. Wow, our caramel is made. It's smooth, it's thick. So I'm going to drizzle some of the caramel sauce over my brownie, and I'll show you how I do that. You can use yours for anything you like. It stands up nicely with that thickness that it has. It doesn't just dissolve and sink into the brownie, as you can see. You can add this to cakes, top of cupcakes, anything you like. And the other thing that I'll do with this brownie is use the sea salt flakes, just to sprinkle on top to give you that sweet, sour taste that so many people love. Of course, you can add the sea salt flakes to the sauce. You'll have to judge just how much salt you add into it so that it's specific to your taste. But that's all I'm doing with my brownie today, because I know that the people that are eating it love it that way. Back to Basics caramel sauce. If you'd like to see more recipes in the Back to Basics series, subscribe, like, and leave your comments in the description box, where I'll have all the recipe and anything else that I need to tell you about equipment and things like that. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember that when you're making the caramel sauce, you are working with hot sugar. So no children around, and just be careful yourselves when you're working with this recipe. It's very nice and very simple to do, but I just want you to be safe, and I hope that you enjoy it while you're making it. Don't forget to write it down in your little book, and we'll see you for the next one.